Hello again, everyone. Well, we're going to continue with our story about Bad Dad. And if you recall, Dad had invited himself to the church on the Sunday. He was going to read a poem. Well, let's see what happens. This chapter is called Splosh. There was no telephone in the flat. The line had been cut off years ago because the bill hadn't been paid. Dad was too poor to own a mobile phone, so if they needed to make a call, they had to go to a telephone box. The only problem was they didn't have any coins in the house. Fortunately, Frank knew where they could get some. In the local park stood an old well. People used it as a wishing well, throwing coins down in the hope of a dream coming true. Frank and his father had thrown coins down there many times before, and the boy had wished for lots of different things over the years. When he was little, he would wish for toys for his birthday. It was cars mainly, model cars, wind-up cars, pedal cars, Lego cars, remote-controlled cars. Once he even wished for his own life-size car. That was a wish too far. However, since the accident, Frank only wished for things for his father. These days, Frank and his dad used the wishing well a little like a bank. They'd put coins in over the years, like a sort of a deposit. And now they needed to take some out, a withdrawal. It was just a shame that no one ever put banknotes down there. Still, there would be enough money to make a phone call, and if Frank was lucky, he might even have a few coins left over to buy some sweets. As father and son entered the park, they saw that the Rolls-Royce-sized hole in the fence was being examined by a bemused-looking park keeper. "Morning," called out Dad in his chirpiest voice. The pair hurried onto the middle of the park where the wishing well stood. First, they both took a good look around to check that the coast was clear. It was early on Saturday morning, and the town was still waking up, so there weren't that many people about. Next, Dad unscrewed his leg and leaned over upside down into the well, hooking himself in place with his remaining foot. Frank then clambered down his dad as if he was a climbing frame and dangled from the wooden leg that Dad gripped tight in his hand. That way they could reach the bottom of the well. "Are you low enough, mate?" called Dad. His words echoed in the blackness. "Yes, Dad." The boy rolled up his shirt sleeve and skimmed his hand across the bottom of the well. When he was sure he had a large handful of coins, he called, "Okay, Dad, I got some. Hoist me up." "I'm sorry we have to get money this way." "I don't mind, Dad. This is the last time, mate." "What do you mean?" But before the man could reply, the pair heard a booming voice shouting down the well, "What on earth are you doing down there?" The shock meant Dad lost his grip, and he and the boy tumbled down into the cold water below. Splosh! "Hey!" came the voice from the top of the well. At the bottom stood Frank and his father, both knee-deep in well water. Dad knew who it was looking down. He'd have recognised that snigger anywhere. It was the local policeman, Sergeant Scoff. Well, who have we here?" The policeman knew exactly who he had here. He'd been making Dad's life a misery for years. Scoff had it in for Dad. and was always accusing him of petty crimes on the estate just because he was unemployed. "Ah, hello, Constable," called Dad.
"It's Sergeant,"
bellowed the policeman. His rank was very important to him. Not being the smartest officer on the beat, he'd waited 10 long years to progress from constable to sergeant, and he wasn't going to let anyone take that away from him.
"Sergeant! Sergeant Scoff! You got it?"
"Yes, Sergeant," replied Dad.
"That's better. Gilbert Goody. I should have known it was you. The one-legged layabout. The uniped idler. The stumpy skiver. Stealing coins from a wishing well. Is that it, eh? You couldn't make it up."
The policeman puffed out his chest and patted down his hair, which he wore in an outrageous comb-over. Scoff wanted to look his absolute best for the golden moment when he got to arrest someone. He cleared his throat like an actor about to walk on the stage.
"I hereby arrest thee for thy crime of coin theft from the aforementioned well of wishes."
"No," said Dad, "you can't arrest me. That's not what I was doing at all." That was that irritating laugh again.
Well, then I would like to know, love to know, what you were doing down there."
Dad looked at his son. His mind was blank. "Dad's leg fell off," Frank called, thinking fast.
"Did it?"
whispered Dad. "Yes, it fell off. We were jogging across the park and Dad's wooden leg just fell off." The policeman was far from convinced.
"So, the leg, it just fell off, did it? And then, as if by magic, it flew through the air and happened to plunge down a well, and that's it, yeah? It's a likely story."
The way Sergeant Scoff put it, the story did seem highly unlikely. "No, of course not," said the boy.
"Where are you going with this, mate?" whispered Dad.
A dog ran off with a leg," continued Frank. It must have thought it was a stick. That they're both made of wood, you see. And then it was the dog that dropped it down here."
"Did it really?"
"Yes," agreed Dad. "And I hope you can find the owner and give them and that pesky dog a stern ticking off. Now, for goodness sake, Sergeant Scoff, please, can you help us get out of here?" The policeman sighed wearily and reached his arm down the well. Frank climbed onto his father's shoulders and Sergeant Scoff pulled the boy up. Getting Dad and his leg out was going to be a great deal harder, but the boy had a smart idea. "Sergeant Scoff, sir," said Frank.
"Yes, child?"
"We could use your trousers as rope."
"My trousers?"
"Yes, sir. If you would be kind enough to whip them off, I can lower them down."
"But everyone in the park would see me in me pants. This is madness."
"Well, if they did, they'd see you as a hero, sir, who rescued a one-legged man from drowning in the well." "You might even get a promotion," shouted up Dad, filling his pockets with coins. The policeman pondered this for a moment. He gazed into the distance, a look of pride on his face.
"Will you make me a promise?"
"Yes," replied Frank.
will you promise to tell absolutely everybody about this? Get a petition going around the town to award me a medal of bravery and give it to the chief superintendent.
You might get a whole chestful of medals, said the boy. Without hesitation, the policeman began unbuttoning his trousers and slipped them off.
Don't worry, sir,
shouted the policeman in the hope that people in the park would hear him.
I, Sergeant Scuff, will save thy life with the help of mine own trousers.
Together, he and Frank lowered the trousers down the well to pull Dad out.
There I, a humble police sergeant, have saved a uniped from certain death,
announced the policeman. Thank you, said Dad, smiling sideways at his son for persuading this man who'd made his life a misery to help them. Sitting in their wet clothes on the side of the well, Dad began attaching his wooden leg. Sergeant Scoff studied the false limb very closely, like a master detective.
I can't see any bite marks.
No, replied Frank. The dog didn't have any teeth.
A dog with no teeth?
Oh, it should make you easier for you to track the animal down, said Dad. You don't want any more incidents in this town of a dog making off with people's false legs, do you? It could become a crime wave.
No,
said the policeman.
We certainly don't want any incidents of canine-based prosthetic limb theft,
he added with a note of sarcasm in his voice. If you don't mind, we have a very important date with a sweet shop, said Dad. You can come along if you want. He put his arm around his son's shoulders and led him off. After a few steps, the policeman called after them,
I will be watching you, Gilbert Goody.
Without breaking his stride, Dad threw a reply over his shoulder. That's nice to know, Constable.
Sergeant!
Bellowed the policeman, standing in the middle of the park in his underpants. Father and son shared a secret smile as they headed out of the gate. Frank noticed that apart from his jingling pockets, Dad also had something stuffed up his jumper. What's that? The man lifted his jumper to show the boy.
Sergeant Scoff's trousers.
Dad! Frank said, bursting into laughter. I know. Naughty. Very naughty. Now, let's go and make that call to Auntie Flip. Yeah, and get some sweets. Well, there we are. Imagine that policeman standing there in the middle of the park in his underpants. That would be something to see. So, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you're staying well. Please stay safe, and we will see you next time for another instalment of Bad Dad by David Walliams. Bye-bye for now.